Hi, welcome to Yo Soy. Welcome everyone, welcome to Yo Soy Neighborhoods Fresno. Thank you for checking in with us today. It's a wonderful day downtown Fresno, California at CMAX Studios. Today we have someone that I think quite a few of you recognize, Paula Chute.
Hello.
Yes, and Paula has been with the Southwest
Since 2014.
2014. But I'm going to tell you, share with you her life journey here as now she's a volunteer. We're going to touch a little bit on civic duty and how we can help. All of us as citizens need to help our city. We together can do that. And we need to revitalize that attitude. We did that as we were growing up. We were always involved with something going on downtown. So Paula Chute, she's born and raised here in Fresno. And what part of the city you grew up and how you saw it develop?
Okay. Well, when we originally moved to Fresno and my folks built their first house, it was up in Northwest, in the Gettysburg.
Oh.
And actually they lived on Arthur, so we were between Fruit and Palm.
Oh, okay.
And I think they lived there about 2 years, and I was born south and bought property in the southeast, not a lot, and we lived, they passed. And by built, I mean they built it. My father was a brick mason, and my mother was his Hodge carrier, which is the person that brings the mortar and keeps it moist so it's workable. And when they needed plumbing and electrical, they would hire a contractor for that, but they were the labor.
Oh my God.
So they had the plumber's brains and know-how and the electrician's brains and know-how, but they were his labor. And they literally built their house. And that's where I grew up. I went to Easterby Elementary. I went to Kings Canyon. At the time, there was not a middle school. It was called junior high.
That's right.
And then from 10th grade on up, I went to Roosevelt High School. And that's where I graduated.
Kind of give people a little debrief of that.
Well, I actually lived in the county. The city didn't start till Tulare. So we had to walk down Tulare to Chestnut to catch any city bus lines or any city services. And then that would take you downtown, and that's when the Fulton Mall was the big deal. And they still had the shuttle running up and down, so you didn't have to walk the length of the mall. You could hop on the shuttle and hop off. It was,
That was a fun thing to do.
Yeah, that was a fun service. And we would go to Discorama and,
That's right. The area was the Safeway, well, I don't know what that grocery store is now.
I think it's called, last time I was in the area, it's I think it's called Super Asia.
It's an Asian market now. Right
And,
there,
and in between, it was an Arthur's Toy Store.
Oh, it was, really? Okay, well, I always remember it as Safeway, but the trees were nice and the roads were clear. There weren't that many potholes. The homes were still fresh, even though they were built in, what, 20s, 30s, progressively over that time period. Because Roosevelt was, what, built in the 20s? Something like that?
That I don't know. And like I said, I lived farther out.
Yeah, but living farther out where you were, out past Easterby School, right? All of that area over there, there were farmlands, weren't they?
Yeah, we had just shy of, I believe, 2 acres, our lot. But across the street, they were deep lots, but they were a total of 5 acres.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of like I had the benefits of city life, but the freedom of country life.
Right.
So to me, I had a great place to grow up.
Right. You were out
adventures and playing out in the field, and there's a Walmart there now and Trolley Park, but it used to be a huge field, and I think at one time it had been
was it cotton or
no fig trees? It was just a field. But there were some fig trees, so I think at one time it might have been a fig orchard, and they just left a few trees up as a delineator. And when I was young, a Basque gentleman used to come with his sheep and graze in the field, because it was beneficial for the field owner. He didn't have to pay to have it tilled, and the sheep had plenty to eat.
Right.
And he actually lived in the little wooden wagon, and tended the sheep, and then till, you know, the field was mowed down, and then they'd move on to the next one.
I think we felt freer, didn't we?
Yeah.
To roam and talk to people and visit with our neighbors. That was a customary thing to do.
The kids played together outside.
What a novel idea, right? And of course, we were all happy when we had a parade downtown. Downtown was full.
When I was in Girl Scouts, I was a robot and marched in one of the Christmas parades.
Oh, really? Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that experience. What year was it?
I was probably 10, so 1964, maybe. And our whole troop made various robots. We looked different. We were allowed to put on our own little faces, but we spray painted everything so it was silver. And then we just tried to wear black leg pants and stuck our arms out holes and eyes to see. But I do remember halfway through the parade, I moved my head or something, and one of my light bulb ears fell out and crashed on the ground and broke. So I only had one light bulb ear for the rest of the parade.
Yeah, yeah. But for the parade itself, it was different than what we've had.
I think they're shorter now. It's now they just go down
Van Ness, right? So it was a longer parade, and there were more people involved.
Yeah.
And
well, all the high school marching bands would be involved,
and floats. We had actual formal floats that were built. I don't think we've seen a float. At least I haven't seen any since I've been back.
No, it seems like they're flat. If there is a float, it's a flatbed truck.
Yeah, right. And before there was, I think people had more time, perhaps, to volunteer and become part of.
Yeah, I don't know when we got so busy. But now people are so busy that they just don't seem to find time to do that kind of thing.
Right.
So you create your neighborhoods. No one else can do that for you. You create your neighborhoods. You set the tone for your neighborhoods. An outside entity or the police department or a branch of the city, they may assist along the way, but ultimately the quality of your neighborhood is going to rest on the residents that live there.
And the reason she talks about Paula talks about neighborhoods right now, she's a volunteer with bringing back broken neighborhoods.
Bringing broken neighborhoods back to life. Well, I'm a volunteer with the Fresno Police Department. I retired Monday, August 2nd, and I started volunteering Tuesday, August 3rd. I'm what's called a volunteer in police services, and when I approached the volunteer coordinator about becoming one, I said I want my focus to be still Southwest, where I've served as a crime prevention officer since 2014.
The Paula story.
Well, I've always had service-related jobs. Right out of high school, I started, because my mother drove school bus for Fresno Unified. She drove for the Roosevelt High School area and satellite schools. And so that kind of introduced me, because at the time we had traditional school years with summers off, and I thought, oh, that sounds nice. So I started working for the company that handled the special education contract with the smaller buses. And so I was doing that, and then after that I had an opportunity to go to work for the city of Fresno, for Fresno Transit, as a handy ride driver, which again is service-oriented. That was a bus that provided curb-to-curb service for people.
Those are the small buses.
Yeah, that for people that could not easily access a regular fax line. And we provide curb-to-curb service for.
Well, that's gone away.
No, the city doesn't. They contract with the city, but it's a private entity right now. I heard that may change, but I don't know. But at the time, I worked for the city of Fresno. I was a transit driver.
And then where did you go from there?
From there, I stayed home for 6 years and had children.
Babies.
Yeah, finished having my children, and then when my youngest was starting preschool, I was ready to re-enter the market, And I had seen a community service officer come to my middle son's school and do a presentation for his kindergarten. And I thought that was really interesting. And I spoke to her a little bit. It was Esther Martine.
In 2015, the city hired a company called Citygate Associates to come in and evaluate the city's practices and manpower for the officers and ways to free up officers. Did you look at this report? In that study, they determined that there would be the best served if we could hire 6 more community service officers. Those community service officers would take minor crash reports, do crime scene investigation where they go out and take photographs of fingerprints, where we lift the fingerprints, collect DNA, things that would assist patrol in freeing up officers that didn't necessarily need an officer to respond to.
Well, I started as a Glendale Police Explorer almost 5 years ago. I started when I was 15 years old. Once I turned 21, I applied for the lobby position at the Glendale Police Department. And I was doing that for 6 months, and then I got hired here. A normal day for me would probably, I'd come in, and then I'd log into my tablet. If there's any accidents, I'll go to them. Depending if there's not, I'll probably catch up on paperwork that I had from the night before. It's always a different day. It's never the same. I like interacting with people. It's kind of, I guess, the accident portions, having to, help people, because we've all been in accidents. Sometimes you don't know what to do, and so I feel helping the public and just going out there, being able to answer their questions, because a lot of them are like, I've never been in an accident, I don't know what to do, am I doing the right thing? So just answering their questions. Yeah, we go out individually, but every now and then, we'll always go to the same calls to help each other out, just to see, do you need help?
Saw an ad in the paper, and they were hiring for community service officers. So I opted to put in an application, but having worked for the city before as a transit driver, I knew that doesn't happen overnight. Right. So in the meantime, it was still time for me to get back into employment. So I put in to be a certified nursing assistant, and this is when the programs could still be run by the company. Mm-hmm. The law has since changed. You have to go to adult school now. Mm-hmm. But back then you could have in-house training and be a certified nursing assistant, and that's what I did. And had this particular job not happened for me with the Fresno Police Department, I may have stayed in nursing. Mm-hmm. I did like it, mm-hmm. But when the city called to start interviewing me for the community service officer position, I decided to go for it, and got the job and was there. That was 1990, February 1990, and I stayed till August 2nd.
Just the other day?
Yeah, 2021.
Well, you've seen a lot of the city change, and can you give folks an idea of what you remember that really caused you to, that looks interesting, or the changes that you've seen over the years?
Well, the city has grown exponentially. I can remember when anything north of Ashland were fig orchards. Mm-hmm. And then anything north of Herndon was fields and or fig orchards. And now none of that's true. It's all housing. Mm-hmm. So we keep growing and growing, and the neighborhoods keep developing.
Right. So when you, what is the main, being with bringing back broken neighborhoods.
Bringing broken neighborhoods back to life.
Bringing broken neighborhoods back to life. That was something that Mayor Dyer, then Chief Dyer at that time, started. What was the pivotal moment that made him think of that, or got everyone interested in creating this?
Well, actually, I think it was 2 pastors approached him and said, and it's still a belief, and my last captain said it, you can't just arrest your way out of crime. It's got to be in the neighborhoods, we've got to show people a different way, and there has to be that connection. And while the churches can go out and do that, they wanted to partner with the police department to show the human side of the police officers, that yes, he's a police officer, and yes, he has to take enforcement action sometimes, but he can also barbecue a hot dog.
He's approachable.
Yeah, and he's a human being just like you, and we're both here in this neighborhood trying to make things better. And what they do is they provide a little bit of food and what I call carnival food. Fun. There's popcorn, there's snow cones, sometimes there's cotton candy, there's hot dogs or hamburgers, whatever.
That's when you're doing those events.
Right, and then there's also table after table of services provided for the community that they may not been were available.
And that's how we got to know each other.
Right, and we used to go out several times a month on the weekends. Unfortunately, the pandemic put an end to that for a while, and now people are still, everybody's kind of hesitant. There's still a pause. It's like, let's get going, but but we're still providing the meetings. We meet the first and third Tuesday of every month at the Southwest Station, and that's 1211 Fresno Street at 9 a.m. And if you're interested in serving the community, if you're a service provider, you're welcome to join us. We also
a nonprofit.
Yes, a nonprofit.
That's right.
It's under the Fresno Police and Neighborhood Watch umbrella.
Right.
And
I can say my short time, right now I can't attend meetings, but in the brief time that I was there, I enjoyed it because I got to meet a lot of the other people that are nonprofits or bringing services to each of the neighborhoods. And when we say neighborhoods, it's all neighborhoods all across the city, right?
Correct. It started in Southwest. The meetings are still in Southwest, but bringing Broken Neighborhoods Back to Life will go into anywhere within the city of Fresno, within the policing district's jurisdiction.
So it's all of the districts, not just Southwest.
Correct.
Which people may be under the impression it's just Southwest, but it's not. Our city needs, all the neighborhoods need some touch.
Correct. And the different churches or organizations are the sponsors of the event, and we've had them sponsored everywhere. I have to refer back to 2019. There was a huge one at Roosevelt High School. We had one at one of the elementary schools in Southeast. There was one at Lafayette Park, which is in Central. One of our members used to put one on up at school campus up in Northwest, but she had to step back for some personal reasons.
Well, so we need to let people know that this is something, if they have a church and haven't had any activity in their neighborhood, to give Southwest a call.
Correct. And that would be...
Do you have a phone number for them?
Yes. The new crime prevention officer is Christina Hohenberg. So you can reach her at 621-6110 or Christina.Hohenberg, and that's HOEMBERG at Fresno.gov. And always remember to put the dot between the first and middle name, or it goes off into
internet space.
Yeah, but we will never get it.
Right. And then, do you guys have a website?
Not at this time.
Okay.
There was one maintained, but when the...
But you do offer the Zoom. If people are interested, they can
but
Zoom in.
You need to get a hold of Christina to give your email address so she can send you a Zoom invitation. The meetings are live. I always say BBN live, but we offer a Zoom capability too.
Right. And also, we're always looking for community service officers as well, right?
They're going to be hiring, I believe a block of 20 is what I was told.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So the application already ended. It ended August 10th. So they'll be hiring off that. But that is something that I think will continue to grow. Prior to 2010, we had over 70 positions that were allotted for community service officer, services officer, and about 62 of them were filled.
Okay.
So
there's more space for growth.
for growth, correct.
Right. And we need
And so
citizens
and
like
so just
yourself.
Just check back on the side if you're
Right.
interested. It is a non-sworn position, and you take care of what's called non-emergency police work. So,
Give people a little sample of what you've done out in the field.
okay. Well, I was a field CSO, which meant that if you had a burglary, I was the one that responded. I took your police report, I listed for prints, I left you with information on what to do and how to fill it out, and who to call in the future, and provided you with a case number, and that's what got you started with your insurance, your detective, etc. So,
Okay.
but I'm a community service officer would generally be your first response.
Okay. But also community service officers do other things in the neighborhood, don't they? If they're assigned in certain neighborhoods, they kind of watch out if people are on vacation or...
We don't have non-sworn do vacation checks here. I believe that's because years and years and years ago they did that in New Mexico, and
Somebody got hurt. Yeah, but at least my point is that the community service officer is familiar with your area, therefore they can see odd things going on, and
they're there in the neighborhoods. They're the ones that are driving, probably slower than the police officers because they're responding to a call and of higher priority. So, you know, they're there. They're an extra set of eyes and ears, and we have all police equipment. We just don't carry firearms or take any enforcement action.
Right,
So,
right. So if there are any of you out there, citizens, I mean, Paula did this herself, sign up. And you also need volunteers. I know when we're at the meetings, we need volunteers to help deliver on those carnivals and so forth that we put together.
Yeah,
so
it takes a lot of hands, a lot of help to put anything together. So if you'd like to just do that, and you can attend the Bringing Broken Neighborhoods Back to Life meeting. If you just want to be a volunteer and help out when we start doing events again, you are more than welcome. We can always use more hands.
Right.
My days of lifting tables and throwing stuff around like that are done. That's one reason why I've retired. I just kept re-injuring my back.
Right.
But I still can wrap hamburgers and hot dogs and help in the
cotton candy,
the food wagon. I can still serve.
Read to the kids.
Yeah. So
keep them entertained. I mean, before, when I say before, in the 60s, I remember when I would attend some type of city activity, we had a lot of ladies out there volunteering their time. Times have changed, I understand that, but we still do have people that do have off time during these functions, and it's an invitation. Come out, come and check out your neighbors and your neighborhood, and enjoy the fun, and free some of that food. They give them food.
Yes.
And entertain the kids. It's fun to watch the kids. They enjoy that.
Yes.
And
we can always use, people, like we said, we have our service providers that come out regularly and provide information, but we can always use somebody that wants to do balloons or a face painter, or we've had a lady come out and do like little impromptu Zumba classes when it's not 110.
How fun is that?
Yeah. So, there's all kinds of things that people can do.
Okay, and bring the musicians, any musicians out there that want to play their violins or guitars, they're always welcome as well. They don't have to, they just give Christine a call.
Correct.
And that's it.
And we have an event. And then I also wanted to touch on our other volunteer opportunities through the Fresno Police Department. We have a volunteer bureau, and our coordinator is Jackie Parks, and he is over the volunteers and police services, which is what I am. And then we also have the citizens on patrol, which are the people that drive the white police cars, and their uniform shirt is white, and you may see them at the scene of a traffic accident, directing traffic. The assist was trying to locate missing children or at-risk adults. They will stand by for tows for the officers, again, to free the officers up so they can get on to a higher priority issue than just sitting there in their car waiting for a tow truck.
Right,
The
right.
COPs will take that over for them. Again, it's citizens on patrol. Or if you have other skills, some people have accounting or office skills, or things like that, and they want to, it's like me, I'm not quite ready to give it all up. I'm not ready to sit in a chair and watch Matlock till I die. So I want to still contribute, so I'm a volunteer in police services. And
I guess the point is that
there's
we need
other opportunities in many ways. And if you're interested, get a hold of Jackie Parks, and his number is 621-2345, or again, email would be jackie.parks, and that's Jackie, JACKY .parks, like Parks and Rec, at Fresno.gov.
Okay.
And
Yes.
there's a little bit of a process to becoming a volunteer, because we have to do backgrounds and whatnot when you work and or volunteer for the Fresno Police Department. But we are ready and
Well,
willing.
It's like 30 to maybe 45 days of going through background checks and whatnot.
I don't know how much it is right now, because they're in the process of hiring officers. So they're always going to get the top.
Well, their priority.
Yeah.
I mean, with our city,
We're losing officers through attrition, so we have to keep replacing them and replacing them.
Right. Yeah, because the police force it was short because of the bankruptcy, and then now they haven't added those officers as yet.
Yeah, they're hired. I think they just swore in.
Some new people.
Yeah, some new people. I'm trying to think of the number. I want to say 15, but I might be wrong. Some of those might have been dispatchers, and then I know we had 2 community service officers that were also in that
But
ceremony. But I understand that they're going to hire, as they're coming out of the academy. Right now these kids are in the academy, but 20 of our cadets that were cadets, and then now they're academy trainees, and then they'll come out as police recruits, and they're going to be in the field training program. And so I think there's going to be 20 of them.
So each of the schools, do they have cadet training, or do they have any? Do they have rangers here? What do they call them?
No.
Do they have
no. We
teens that want to or interested?
We have a police explorers program,
There you
and
go.
that's through the police chaplaincy. And
Okay.
I don't have their number on me,
That's okay.
but you can get a hold of Tina Maldonado, and that's tina.maldonado at fresno.gov. I don't have a phone number for you, I'm sorry. But,
That's okay,
But you
that's
can
okay.
email her.
Yeah.
And
that
she's from
group-
the chaplaincy office. And then they have a police officer that oversees the program with her, but she's the chaplain.
And the explorers start in their teen years, right?
Correct.
Okay.
You age out, I think, when you hit 20, 21.
Okay. So
And then-
we need volunteers there as well.
And it's a good, if you think you might be interested in a career in the police department, or law enforcement anywhere, it's a good place
To get started.
to get started.
Right,
In fact,
right.
one of our current captains started as a police explorer.
Yeah. So that'll give you an idea of whether or not you're cut out for that type of work,
Correct.
or at least at best you're engaging with someone that could potentially be your employer, or both of you work at the same
Correct.
place.
And you could segue into the police cadet program. You can do that off the street too. Just keep watching the City of Fresno website on their jobs. That's kind of a thing that's continuously being filled. Police cadets have to be at least 18 years of age. And I think you have to be 21 before they'll send you to the academy.
Right.
But
Right.
it is a temporary position, which means I don't think it can last longer than 4 years. But it is to get your foot in the door,
Right,
and
right.
to get some training.
Right.
And you do non-emergency police work. You're out in the field. Kind of do what the field CSOs used to do. and will be doing again as they fill the positions again. And then you also can work in other various. We have some that are in property and supply. We have some that are in property evidence. We have some that are in the CSI unit.
How interesting
Yeah.
that would
So-
be for a
so they get an
citizen.
overview of all the different and how they work together, all the different departments working together, and
Well, they go on ride-alongs too, don't they?
yes, but they also work out in
Yeah,
the field.
they
So
work out. Yeah.
So, and if they test well and do a good job, they can get picked up and be put through the academy, and then when they come out,
And that's paid for.
yes.
So,
The cadet position's a paid position.
right, right. But I mean, if they're selected for the academy,
Then yes.
they don't have, that's not out-of-pocket fee.
Absolutely.
Right, they get trained as a Fresno
So-
PD officer. So I guess what we're trying to say to you folks out there, yes, you are taxpayers, but remember, this country was built for us to be team players, for all of us to participate. We're not just citizens and say, oh, well, hire somebody to do it. We are the people to be hired. We are the people to volunteer. The city has not had a lot of people involved with it, the citizens, and we need, now that we know there are 1 million people out there, we need more volunteers. And this gives you an opportunity to give your input as to what you think might be a good idea for a change.
Correct. They had me post a little thing on the Facebook page for the Fresno Police Department when I retired, and I said basically, if you want to see change, it's as simple as rolling up your sleeves. If you want to help, it's as simple as rolling up your sleeves. I can't, like I said, I can't do heavy lifting anymore, but I can certainly wrap a hamburger or hot dog. I can.
But I think the
I
great,
can smile.
and there you go. The greatest thing is the participation when you're out there involved at some of those carnivals that are put together, that the kids are out having fun, mom gets a little bit of a break. You're getting to know your local neighborhood with the officers that are in that district as well. And then you get to meet volunteers as Paula. And give us a little bit of what else that they would be involved with, or what other areas do you feel, it sounds like they're going to be hiring quite a few more.
We'll hope so.
I hope so too. We're in dire straits right now. We really, with all of this pandemic stuff going on and the volatile, everything has been volatile around here lately. So I don't know, the cars, we haven't had any riots, thank God for that. But we have had quite a few of these criminal activities going on. And one of the things as a parent, which I think really parents need to understand, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that understand this, your children are learning by example. They see you doing something as a volunteer, they'll probably go out and try to be a volunteer as well. You know, they'll see you, if you're taking them along with you on the volunteer outing, they get to enjoy the neighbors and the other children that are around and get their existence starts to, you're multiplying because
Correct.
you're getting to meet a lot of the people that you don't see all the time when you're sitting driving to and from work. You don't get to touch them, you don't get to talk to them, you don't get to, tell a joke with them, share a funny story, but by being a volunteer, you'll get up and close and personal.
Well, I was speaking with one of the ladies that's involved with Bringing Broken Neighborhoods Back to Life, and also with the Fresno PAL program, Police Activities League, and she's part of an organization that's called Teens That Care.
Yes.
And
Jenny.
she was, Jenny.
Jenny.
And she
She's
was saying
super.
that you know, they used to do things and raise money and then contribute that way. And then I don't know if it was her daughter or one of the other founding members' daughters was watching TV and started crying because they were showing something that she had done but never met the person that received the benefit of it. And they were talking about how thankful they were and blah, blah, blah. And there was no human connection. Yeah, she raised money and it went to this project and the people are saying, yay, thank you for this item.
This gift.
But there was no human connection. And they decided, wait a minute, these kids need to know who they're serving. They need to meet them, human being to human being, face to face. And so they added another element to their program. So they come out and they interact with the children. They lead games. There was one property we would go to. It's transitional housing. It's in Southwest Fresno, and it's the majority of the clientele are parents who, for whatever reason, lost custody of their children. But now they're working programs and going through
rehab.
Rehab. Well, some of them it's not necessarily that they had the drug issue, but it was allowed in the house. Anyway, they're doing all their programs and steps and things that they need to do, and it's for family reunification. They have their children living with them again, and this isn't a permanent living situation. After they graduate from the transitional housing, they'll find housing elsewhere.
It's a step up.
But this is the transitional housing. So the kids come and they face paint and they do crafts with the kids and they lead games and bubble blowing and TikTok, and we would have try to get out there at least once a month, and so we'd have birthday cake and we'd have little treats and punch and
Yeah, but even though it's just punch and cake, that's just a little motivator. Once you get the people together, that's really the objective.
And that's why they changed one of the aspects of their program was to interact with people.
And that's what Bringing Back Broken Neighborhoods does. But the message is we are all civically inclined. We just have to get out and do it.
Correct.
Get out and meet your neighbor. Get out and meet Paula. You'll meet a lot of great, nice people, happy, and you'll see that our city, we have a lot of wonderful, great people. It's just a matter of I realize we're all busy. I'm busy. Paula's busy. But you need to cut out just a little bit of time so that you can meet your neighbors and really get into the nuts and bolts of what's going on in our city.
And we have some very faithful people. We did 6 weeks of Good Times Are Back at Frank H. Hall, and that was a combination of Parks and Rec, PAL, Bringing Broken Neighborhoods Back to Life, and some other organizations. And we had people out there every week doing crafts and talking to the children. We had people from Bringing Broken Neighborhoods Back to Life who were there every week making popcorn, people from the community that would just say, oh, I'll help. You know, they came the first time and saw what was going on and had some popcorn and a hamburger, and the next week they
were there
behind us helping make the popcorn and pass out the hamburgers. So, you know, anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it. Anybody's welcome. Your arms are open. We need more civilians. Whether you're retired, it doesn't matter your age group.
Right.
If you just call that number, Christine, give it to them
Christina
again.
Hohenberg, and her number is 621-6110.
Yes. So we'd like to thank you for watching Yo Soy Neighborhoods Fresno, and we really appreciate your 30 years of service?
31 plus.
31 plus years of service. You didn't have to do it, but you had a lot of fun doing this.
Yes, I did. For those of you considering being a community service officer, I've never had a job I didn't like, but this was one of the most fun. And it's constantly changing. This is, you know, being a crime prevention officer was just the last part of my career. Before that, I was in Crime Stoppers. I was in the Prosecution Liaison Office. I was in a telephonic unit. I helped with Police Academy. There's just so much to do. There's so much to do.
There's so many, I mean, for us as taxpayers and being part of the city, citizens of the city, there are so many positions that you can touch.
Correct.
And become involved with. And those you can find them on the city website, right?
Correct. Just if you're interested, just keep checking the jobs.
Right.
And they post periodically.
Right. Okay. And it should be on the city site too as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Fresno.gov?
Yes.
Fresno, okay. Right. Okay.
Or just Google City of Fresno and the website will come up. And then within there's the jobs.
Okay. See? So, folks, you're the city. Remember that. You are the city. And just eke out just a little bit of time, 30 minutes a day or within your schedule, 2 hours, find out what's going on, how you can volunteer. Now, as you get retired or if you have downtime, you can apply for one of these positions and get to know more of your neighborhoods. And as we know now, 1 million people are here. So that means there's a good 2,000 people out there today that could probably be very helpful. And this really helps curtail some of the crime because if children are busy and they're getting positive strokes and participating with the adults, they start to feel more comfortable. So, and that's a plus. And it's a more healthy lifestyle.
Correct.
Okay. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Paula, for being here.
Thank you.
And appreciate your service. And we'll continue to meet you out there. Oh, fireworks.
Absolutely.
They have a fireworks truck. They sell fireworks too. So thank you for watching. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Hello and welcome to City Edition, the City of Bend's video news magazine. I'm Justin Feinstone. They're called community service officers and they play an important role with the Bend Police Department, from enforcing leash laws to assisting in crime scene investigations. Take a look.
The community service officers are invaluable to the City of Bend Police Department. They provide a lot of different service areas. For example, they took 9,000 calls for service last year, 9,000. Of 9,000 calls for service, about 3,500 of those calls were animal complaints. Not just dog complaints, but animal complaints.
The ordinance is called Animals at Large, which applies to all animals with the exception of cats, but most commonly is applied to dogs. And basically the ordinance says that dogs have to be securely leashed whenever they're essentially off of the property of their owner, with the exception of being at a dog park.
The dog has to be on a leash. It can't be voice command. It has to be a leash that's securely fastened to an owner's hand. And the leash law really does a lot to help protect dogs, both from falling in a canal and getting swept away. It keeps them from getting in fights with other dogs. So the leash law is really there to protect dogs and people from hazards.
It is a very difficult ordinance sometimes to enforce just because of the wide array of different situations we can encounter people in, from neighborhoods to parks to more rural settings such as the river trail.
This park is River Bend Dog Park. It's pretty large. It doesn't get muddy because they've installed bark chips, which is nice when it's rainy and snowy. Pretty well attended. There's always dogs to play with. Behind the park, there's also a dog beach portion of the dog park, so the dogs can go down and get in the river, and the river doesn't move quite as quickly here, so it's a little bit safer to let your dog get in and play fetch in the water.
We have had a number of incidents and we receive a pretty high number of complaints about the river trail. The ordinance is a city ordinance that is encompassing all of the city limits of Bend.
The CSOs also provide a resource for online reporting because someone has to review those reports, and they provide that service for us. They review the online reports. If there's any suspicious activity or if they see a suspect developing from that online reporting, they contact patrol and let patrol follow up on that.
Yeah, a lot of people think that all we do is animal control when really that's a small part of our everyday duties, from doing rescues to motor vehicle accidents to low-level criminal investigations. That's where the majority of our time is spent on a daily basis.
They help us with crime scenes, they provide traffic control. It's invaluable, the services they provide the community and the police officers at the police department.
What I enjoy about being a community service officer is the diversity of the situations that I'm able to assist the community and the rest of the department in. Generally speaking, we get to be a little bit more of the helpful side of the police department and help people through situations that are obviously challenging and trying to them.
So while the community service officers are handling those calls for service, patrol is available to handle assault calls, domestic violence calls, mental health calls, the things that are a higher priority and need immediately to the community.
Some of the things that I like the best about the CSO position is the variety, ranging from the dog aspect or the animal aspect, and the animal aspect covers wildlife also. We interact with badgers, deer, basically any animal that finds itself inside the city limits we could get a call about. I also really like the interacting with the public and solving problems aspect of it.
We can, again, just kind of help someone make a bad situation better.
Whereas the community service officer, we can take care of multiple little calls at a time and free up that extra time for the patrol officers to work major cases.